an old respected poet named Junkie, lives alone in a quiet, secluded home. His days are filled with reading, the only thing that helps ease his loneliness. His assistant, Seo Ji-woo, is a young writer who has just gained fame for his debut psychological novel. One afternoon, as the two return from Ji-woo's press event, they find a teenage girl sleeping on Junkyo's porch. She's Han Unio, a 17-year-old high school student looking for a part-time job. While Ji-woo questions her, Junkyo silently observes, quietly drawn to her youthful presence. Later that night, Junkyo and Ji-woo celebrate Ji-woo's success with a quiet drink. During their talk, Ji-woo mentions he'll be away for a while and that someone new will look after Junkyo, the same girl from the porch, Unio. The next day, Unio begins working at the house. Their personalities clash at first. She's carefree and curious, while he's calm and disciplined. But over time, a subtle connection grows between them, tender, confusing, and deeply human. Junkyo starts to feel emotions he thought were gone. Unio's youth stirs something within him, a reminder of life, warmth, and the beauty he believed he had lost. While Junkyo rediscovers inspiration, Ji-woo is busy enjoying his newfound fame, basking in attention and recognition. One rainy night, Junkyo is awakened by a knock at the door. Standing outside, drenched and shivering, is Unio. He lets her in and helps her dry off. When he notices a bruise on her cheek, a sign of her mother's abuse, he quietly offers her a place to stay. He lends her one of his shirts, sets her uniform to dry, and shows her to a spare bed before going to sleep himself. The next morning, Junkyo wakes to find Unio sleeping beside him, her arm wrapped around his waist. Startled but frozen, he notices a small tattoo drawn near her chest, before quickly slipping out of bed upon hearing Ji-woo's car outside. When Ji-woo enters, he spots a girl's uniform in the closet. Moments later, Unio steps out of Junkyo's room. Shocked, Ji-woo questions her, his mind racing with suspicion. To break the tension, Unio prepares breakfast. Ji-woo reminds her that Junkyo doesn't eat bread, but she insists, handing the food to the old man with a smile. Junkyo accepts it warmly. Before they leave, Junkyo asks about the tattoo. Unio laughs and says it's only henna. Outside, Ji-woo confronts her, telling her to stop visiting the house. Unio calmly replies that Junkyo already gave her a set of keys. Sitting nearby, she takes out a small mirror to look at herself. Ji-woo, frustrated, pushes her, causing the mirror to fall and crack. Tears fill Unio's eyes as she says it was her first gift from her mother. Watching from a distance, Junkyo rushes over, picks up the broken mirror, and hands it back to her. Overwhelmed, Unio hugs him tightly, while Ji-woo stands still, watching in silence. Later that afternoon, Unio returned to Junkyo's home, cheerfully asking if she could draw henna on him. Though hesitant at first, he eventually gave in to her playful persistence. Inside, Junkyo lay nervously on Unio's lap as she carefully worked on the design. When she softly told him to close his eyes, his mind began to drift. In a vivid dream, he found himself young again, standing beside her under warm sunlight. He moved closer and wrapped his arms gently around her, but she slipped away with a teasing smile. He smiled and ran after her, their laughter echoing in the dreamlike scene. They return to the house and end up sharing a passionate moment together. But the illusion vanished when Unio woke him up, proudly showing the finished henna tattoo. Later, Junkyo sat alone in his study, writing a poem inspired by her. Meanwhile, Ji-woo struggled to write at home. Frustration built until he deleted his work and called Unio, asking her to bring medicine. When she arrived, his irritation exploded. He shouted at her, demanding to know what she was doing with Junkyo and accusing her of toying with a noble man. Shocked and offended, Unio argued back, insisting she had done nothing wrong before angrily telling him to stay out of it. Enraged, Ji-woo grabbed her blouse, blaming her for how far Junkyo had gone just to comfort her. When he questioned why her mirror mattered so much, Unio snapped that it was a birthday gift from her mother. Ji-woo mocked her sentiment, but as he yelled, he noticed blood on her blouse and fell silent, quietly helping her clean it. Unio remembers the old man telling her how it took Jinwoo 10 years to realize that not all stars were the same. Jinwoo recalls Junkyo's lecture years ago where he questioned the professor's interpretation. The old man calmly explained that the meaning of stars depended on who was looking at them. To lovers, they might seem beautiful. To the hungry, it is like food. It was a simple thought, but one that stayed with Jinwoo for years. Before leaving, she borrowed Jiwoo's novel, The Heart. The next day, while cleaning Junkyo's study, Unio was interrupted by Jiwoo, who asked if she had read his book. She explained she hadn't, busy with exams. When she began moving Junkyo's desk, Jiwoo quickly stopped her, insisting it should stay where it was. But Unio insisted that Junkyo had been writing again. Jiwoo disagreed, saying the desk had remained untouched for years. In the struggle, the desk toppled over, scattering papers across the floor. Frightened and upset, Unio ran off to find Junkyo and tell him what happened. Ji-woo found Jukyo's poem about Unio. When Jukyo and Unio returned, he told her to leave the table as it was and quietly reflected on his feelings. She looked disappointed but said nothing. Ji-woo then handed Jukyo his schedule, mentioning a meeting with the literary museum officials on Monday. When Unio asked if she could come, Ji-woo objected, but Jukyo allowed it. She then mentioned she had finished reading The Heart, and the three briefly discussed Ji-woo's book. On Monday, after dinner with the museum officials, Jukyo stands to leave. When they ask why he's in such a hurry, he raises his sleeve to show the henna Unio drew on him, then walks out. Later, he meets Unio at a bus stop, and they drive to a restaurant, laughing and enjoying the night. At home, Ji-woo sits in the study reading Jukyo's poem for Unio. He sighs, sets it down, then slams it shut in anger at the sight of her name. That night, while Jukyo works on his car, Mr. Park arrives to tell him the museum will display his manuscript and name a wing after him. As they talk, Mr. Park mentions Ji-woo's new short story titled Unio. Shocked, Jukyo checks his study, finds the poem gone, and rushes to a bookstore where he sees Ji-woo's story in print. The next day, Ji-woo visits. He makes tea, but Jukyo refuses it. Seeing his book on the table, Ji-woo defends his decision to publish, saying the poem deserved to be read. Jukyo calls him a thief. It is then revealed that Ji-woo's first successful book, The Heart, was actually written by the old man. Jukyo explains that he saw it as Ji-woo's payment for keeping him company, despite the young man's lack of talent. Furious, Ji-woo shouts that he no longer knows who he is, himself or Jukyo's shadow. He warns that publishing the poem will cause a scandal. Jukyo loses control, grabs Ji-woo by the collar, and strikes him on the head with his slipper. Outside, Unio sees the fight and runs away. That night, she returns to Jukyo's house, but he won't open the door. Through the window, she sees Ji-woo's book on the table, takes it, and leaves. The next day, she confronts Ji-woo, accusing him of stealing Jukyo's work. When he admits Jukyo mentioned the henna, she scolds him again for betraying him. Ji-woo says Jukyo is like a father to him, but she doesn't accept it. Later, in Ji-woo's car, he suddenly kisses her. Shocked, she pulls away as he admits he's lonely. She gets out and leaves. That evening, Ji-woo meets Mr. Park, who tells him he has won the annual literary award for Unio. Ji-woo sits in silence, stunned. The next day, Ji-woo waits for the awards ceremony to begin. Mr. Park tells him that Jukyo has also come to attend. After Ji-woo receives his award, Jukyo is invited to the stage to give a congratulatory speech. In his speech, he says that youth is not a reward for one's effort, just as old age is not a punishment for one's mistakes. He then talks about Ji-woo's short story, Unio, and recalls his memories of her. Later that day, while Jukyo is cutting seaweed in his kitchen, Unio suddenly appears at his door to wish him a happy birthday. She brings a cake and a small gift, smiling warmly, while he watches her quietly through the window. She teases him about his dirty windows, then notices his distant look. Still, he opens the door, and she walks in cheerfully. While Jukyo is cooking outside, Unio sets up the cake. Ji-woo soon arrives, greets Jukyo, and hands him a gift before being invited to join them for dinner. The three sit together, the air heavy with quiet tension, as Unio prepares the food. During dinner, she asks Jukyo about the history of wine, and he answers patiently. Ji-woo complains that she never asks him anything, but she laughs, saying he never gives good answers. Like most engineering students, Ji-woo gets drunk and starts boasting about his success, saying he's no longer a follower but a respected writer. Feeling uneasy, Jukyo leaves the room. Unio follows him, and before leaving, Jukyo gently hugs her. She kisses him softly on the forehead, and he goes to rest. Unio quietly returns inside and enters Jukyo's study. Waking in the middle of the night, Jukyo notices her shoes by the stairs and heads to the study. There, he sees Unio and Ji-woo laughing together. He steps outside and looks through the window, just in time to see them kiss. Jukyo places a ladder beneath the window and climbs up. When he looks inside, he's stunned to see Unio and Ji-woo together in an intimate moment. Shocked, he climbs back down quietly, leaving them alone. He then sits in his car, devastated by what he has just witnessed. The next morning, Ji-woo rushes out and discovers his tire is flat. He borrows Jukyo's truck instead, not knowing that Jukyo rigged it last night. While driving, Ji-woo suddenly loses control of the steering wheel, and the truck crashes. At the repair shop, the mechanic tells him that the steering was deliberately loosened, suggesting someone meant to harm him. Realizing the truth, Ji-woo drives furiously toward Jukyo's house. At that moment, Jukyo is outside his house, burning his old writings, his memories, his pride, and his guilt. On his way there, Ji-woo's anger blinds him, and he loses control of the car once more. This time, the vehicle plunges off a cliff and crashes into the ravine below. Moments later, Jukyo calls Unio, his trembling voice confessing that he has killed Ji-woo. When she arrives from school, she sees the police pulling Ji-woo's wrecked car from the ravine. The sight leaves her speechless. Some time passes before Unio gathers the courage to visit the library. There, she finds Ji-woo's book and reads it again. She begins to understand the depth of what truly happened between the three of them. Later, she visits Jukyo's house. Inside, she finds him lying motionless, surrounded by the faint smell of liquor. Lying next to him, she says that some feelings can never be fully understood, no matter how hard one tries. Tears fall as she thanks him for making her beautiful in his story. She places a bouquet beside him and quietly leaves. Jukyo's eyes fill with tears, silently saying goodbye to the girl who became both his muse and his downfall. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.